Hello everyone, welcome to your reading. So today's reading is about what part of your shadow is asking to be integrated and how it may be showing up in your daily life. So for those of you that don't know, the shadow refers to the unconscious parts of ourselves that we either repress, deny, or reject. And it can consist of repressed emotions, fears, desires, and behaviors that don't necessarily align with the image that we've created of ourselves. So, for example, if somebody was taught that anger is bad, then that person might grow up repressing their anger, suppressing their anger. And then this could manifest in someone's life, such as like passive aggression or random outbursts, right? So we're going to use the archetypes deck. I did pull one card already. I wanted to leave it out, but I'll pull another one. Oh, there goes another one. And let's see exactly what part of you have you been repressing. Let's start with the first one. So we have the comic. Maybe you've always been more playful, more more likely to make jokes, to act funny, to be goofy, to just not take things too seriously. But the people around you saw that as perhaps maybe you're undisciplined and you don't take things seriously, and therefore you're not going to succeed. Which honestly I find to be quite the opposite, because the people who are taking life way too seriously, everything is hard for them. Everything is very hustle, very stressful. And it seems like perhaps you've fallen into this trap, but not because that's how you are, but because too many people told you, this is not the time and place to not take things seriously, right? And the next one we have is the maiden. So this kind of ties in my opinion, because the maiden is kind of the younger feminine, right? Whether you're feminine or masculine, I'm taking this to mean as the younger part. Perhaps that part that is the more playful kind, the one that doesn't take things too seriously and really just wants to have fun. But yeah, if you can see here, I haven't read the definition of this card, so I'm not sure what the book says, but I see here that this is kind of like a mask, right? And then there's the eyes of something, a person maybe. I don't know what it is. And you're putting on this mask and this party hat and pretending that this is okay. You're fine with living this way. But the truth is that it's not you. Look at how the image is gray underneath. It's sad. And disguising yourself in someone else's rules isn't going to bring you the happiness that you're masking yourself with. So, seeing here, explore something. Go back and re-explore something. Something that you did that a lot of people around you told you, oh, that's not appropriate. You know, you don't take things seriously. Basically, in a way, they made you sad. They kind of started to, it's almost like they tried to make you view the world like they do because of their own programming, right? So I was seeing this sort of reversed, right? Let's say you're the happy cat with the party hat, and then these people kind of told you to put on the mask, the gray mask. So really underneath you're this happy party cat, but then they're asking you to put on that gray mask. No, take things seriously. Don't joke around. Don't be lighthearted. This is not how life works. Harden up. Maybe you experienced a lot of emotions. Maybe even you were called sensitive. I don't know. You could have been told you were too sensitive, but that's the sensitivity that allowed you to be more lighthearted than the rest. Okay. The other two cards we have are the Flame and the Hunter. Now I find it interesting that these both have triangles. This one is going up, this one is going to the side. With the Flame, it seems like there's something always, and once again, I'm not reading the definitions from the book, just kind of what this triggers for me intuitively. There's always a little light inside of you. And you always feel like no matter how serious and dark things are, there's always this little light in you. And it kind of ties in with this lightheartedness. You may be witnessing something that's a little darker in nature, or you could be having an experience that is not so positive, but there's always this little flame. There's always this little flame inside of you, kind of besides lighting the way and besides guiding you intuitively, it's telling you, hey, you know, this is just another thing and we're going to deal with it and you're going to be good. For some reason I'm having a hard time explaining exactly what I mean, but it's that feeling that when you're going through something very difficult, you still have kind of that spark inside and you feel it. So you're never really, because of this flame, you're never really allowed to fall too deep in the pits of despair, if that makes sense. And with the hunter, I feel like these two tie in together. It's once again that sense of direction. It's always there. But since these are the things that are asking to be integrated, it's like you are pushing these things back. So maybe if you feel a little bit of optimism about a situation, you tell yourself, no, look at what's in front of us. Look at what's in front of me. There's no reason to be optimistic. I need to be negative in this situation. And it goes back, I need to be a pessimist, right? There's nothing positive about this. I need to be a pessimist right now. I need to see the facts. I need to see what's in front of me. And I need to not be the Lulu and focus on some optimistic thing. And that ties back in to what I was saying about this, where people are constantly telling you, oh no, you gotta focus on the negative because, life is hard and things are gonna be difficult. And so these people live a life of difficulty, of obstacles, and just general pessimism. But this isn't you. This is not really you. So you're being asked here, let this flame, fan it. Fan this flame. Fan this flame. Let it grow, and don't be afraid to let it go. Let it grow. It feels like a little bit of fear. Fear of being optimistic. Because either you've been taught that most of the times things have a negative outcome, or you've had bad experiences that have led to a negative outcome, and you'd rather sort of like not get your hopes up type of situation. You don't want to get your hopes up. Hold on, I had something. I lost it. I got a little message and I lost it. Let's see if it comes back up. So as I was saying, you have to fan that flame and trust. Trust. Oh, I got it back. So what I was about to say, that is so strange. I feel like this message keeps coming in and out really quick. It's like it steps in and then it walks out of my head. Give me one moment. Okay, so I lost the message for now. I'm going to see if it comes back up again. But I'm going to take that as perhaps you've entertained the idea of allowing this flame to grow. You've entertained the idea of fanning it, but you shut it down very quickly. So that's why it kind of comes in and goes very quickly. So you spend most of your time suppressing it. And you only really feel it very quickly and it goes away. Now with the hunter, it seems I'm getting like ambition as well. Ambition. I don't know if maybe you've had to push down your ambition, or like chasing after whatever this flame illuminates. Maybe you've been pushing down some of your core things that you like. Let's say you've always been creative, but you've been told, oh, you can't make money with that. Or that's not going to get you anywhere. Or you need to make a difference in the world, and you're not going to make a difference in the world with that. You need to get something, first of all, that makes money. Second, something that is, that produces a very tangible outcome. And sometimes you want to follow this little flame, but you shut it down. All of this goes back to the flame. Let's read the hunter, because I don't remember what that one says. It says, the seeker, the pursuer, the predator. Okay, the pursuer is standing out to me from there, because we were talking about being ambitious. The hunter hunts. They are on a precise mission with an aim. To return home empty-handed would be to fail, which is not an option. In the hunter's eye, this archetype will journey far and wide, seeking the prize that calls to its heart or stomach. Tales of bravery and feats of strength often result, creating a life full of adventure. The hunter is skillful, quick, decisive, and results-oriented. Like the great hunting goddess Artemis, who carries her giver upon her back. The hunter typically has a weapon of choice. When this card appears, it is critical that you ask 3 questions. What am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? I feel like we should invert these questions, since we're talking about what needs to be integrated or released from your shadow. So what are you not hunting, and why are you not hunting it? And we went into why you're not hunting it over here a little bit. It's just programming, really. Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? And I want to say, why don't you have a weapon in your hand? Why have you rendered yourself vulnerable? I don't know where that came from. Right? Who did you give your weapon to? Why did you surrender it? And your weapon being that focus, that ambition. Who did you surrender it to? Who did you allow to tell you that it was not worth following? Who? And are you living your life for them or for yourself? What is your life about? Is it about you? Is your life yours? Or is it to impress someone else, to make someone happy? Your parents, other family members, a spouse, a partner. You're being asked to take the mask off. Who are you? Go back to this time. The maiden, the beginning, the moment when you realized what you actually enjoyed. Allow yourself to be optimistic, because sometimes it's not delusional optimism, it's just your intuition telling you that everything is going to be okay. And wake up this hunter. Wake up the hunter. And really, what's happening here is that, first of all, you're needing to recognize that you have suppressed these things. Okay, so unfortunately, my mics ran out of battery, and I went on for like 20 minutes without realizing. But that's okay, because the energy did get kind of heavy, and there was honestly a lot of information. And I find that even with just these 4 cards here, there was a lot to unpack. So I'm thinking that I am going to show the same cards that we got earlier, but I'm going to go over it a little bit more quickly and kind of give, just the overall message that I got from this. So I had gotten the Queen here, the Teacher, the Slave, and the Poet. So I was focusing on the shadow attributes, of course, because it's a shadow reading. And for the Queen, it becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling, and demanding. And then we had for Teacher, manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills. And what I had come to when it came to these two was that maybe there is a part of you that gets triggered when challenged or when questioned. And the reason for that was being that there's no real solid foundation for you to defend yourself, because what you're defending yourself based on is a persona that you have built based on what other people wanted you to do. So it can be really triggering, because a part of us, the shadow part of us, knows that, no, not the shadow part of us. That would be the ego. Okay, never mind. But a part of us knows that, there is no real foundation for what we're doing. So if what we're doing is challenged, we kind of get offended. We're like, no, I've been doing this for all of my life, and this is how it's always been, and this is how it's always going to be. And that sort of attitude, and I guess you're being asked here to really take a deep, deep, deep look at that. And I do see this actually quite a lot in social media, in real life. And really it shows in a lot of different ways, where you can come up to someone and you challenge them. You ask them, oh, okay, so why do you make this decision? Like, what's the basis for it? So if you immediately at that point feel triggered, instead of being able to respond with the information that individual is asking you, and you instead become triggered and you're like, ugh, you don't need to ask me this. Like, this is just how it is. Blah, blah, blah. Now, it goes back to this part here. And it's that you, perhaps, what you're being questioned, you're doing because someone else told you that was the way. And so once you uncover this and you reverse this mask, then you can see and you can find your true self, and maybe realize that what you were doing, that you were being challenged on or questioned on, you honestly didn't even want to do in the first place. Maybe there is a part of you that is getting triggered by the question or the challenge because you know you don't want to do it. And a part of you feels that it's wrong for you to do it because it's just not you. It's not your most authentic self. And I think a lot of the problems and a lot of the triggers occur when we are presented with something that perhaps is the truth, but it kind of ruptures our idea of who we are and, just reality. And it can make us angry. And I have witnessed this a lot. And I experienced this personally when I was way, way young. Okay, so the shadow attribute for the slave here, it says, giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. And this could have been what happened here, what we were discussing earlier on, when perhaps you were vulnerable, either a child or in a vulnerable state, and you decided it was best to trust someone else more than yourself. And here for light attribute, it says surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. And what I was seeing with that is actually, as you start uncovering all these things and making light of them, surrender your power to your inner divinity. Right? Surrendering it to yourself and learning to trust yourself. And I have to tell you guys, the best way to go about this is just to know thyself. And that is probably my favorite 2 words. Know thyself. Because once you start knowing yourself and you start weeding out everything that you're not, you're going to see a lot less triggers. You're going to find yourself a lot less confused about just life in general. Then we have poet. Shadow attribute turns a lyric gift into negative or self-destructive effect. Okay, once again, I did it on the first time when I first recorded this part. And I just did it again. Where I've added self in front of the word destructive. It says turns a lyric gift to negative or destructive effect. But I keep adding self-destructive. So what that's telling me is that perhaps there's a lot of negative self-talk. And as a side note, there could be someone out there, one of you out there, that could be a good music writer or something like that, but the music that tends to come out of you and the lyrics that come out of you are mostly perhaps negative, or they focus on the negative aspects of your life. And if you do that, really listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying and then kind of invert it. Invert it. And then invert it to find out, to figure out the cry for help coming from within you. Because we are talking about uncovering the shadow, what shadow parts need to be integrated. Right. Okay, so let's go ahead and take out some new cards. Oops. I just dropped some. I think I'll read these. I dropped these too. We'll see if that was supposed to happen. We have basil. Oh, and also for this deck there is a, let me see if it will focus. Doesn't want to focus. There is a dawn book and a dusk book, and we're going to use the dusk book because it's shadow and it makes sense. We have, there is growth to be found in helping others achieve the same goal. In India, is this focusing? A leaf of holy basil is placed on the forehead of the deceased to ensure that Vishnu will see them and welcome them into heaven. By giving your time and energy to others, you will draw the same good energy that you are giving away toward yourself. Interesting. By giving your time and energy to others, you will draw the same good energy that you're giving away toward yourself. I'm actually feeling something kind of reversed. So it's like actually starting by giving yourself this good energy. You'll be able to do this once you start nurturing the parts of yourself that you've been hiding, and then you will automatically start reflecting to others that's a healed version of yourself. So like instead of reacting with triggers or whatever, like we were talking earlier, you will be now responding and recognizing. And foxglove. Foxglove is one of the plants said to protect a babe against being replaced by a fairy changeling child. Perhaps you feel as though you do not recognize yourself anymore, or the path that your life is taking. But it's not too late to grab hold of that stranger and banish them. Indulge in a pastime you haven't picked up for a while. Or take a walk down a familiar road to remind yourself of who you used to be. Or perhaps, like this new self that has emerged, and want to embrace it. It is natural to change and grow, and so can your own identity. And this ties in really well. But instead of using the foxglove to protect against being replaced by a fairy changeling, what am I getting at here? You're kind of symbolically using it to protect yourself against changing into someone else. And so this is the time to shed that which you're not. And you might have to go way, way back. And I don't know if this part made it into the video, but earlier I was talking about At some point, I mentioned something about going back to the things of when you were a younger child, or back before you started noticing that something is really, really unfulfilling in your life. Back before you started allowing yourself to mold into the persona other people wanted to build for you. So that actually is one of the ways that you can start to remember and uncover those parts of yourself by engaging in things that you know you used to enjoy, or things that you feel you still enjoy but don't allow yourself to enjoy because somehow, some way, you were made believe by either yourself or others that it's not worth it and that it was a waste of time or a waste of whatever. Okay? And that could be something as such being, just a goofball, being your funny self, engaging in playfulness, and not taking life too seriously. And it's going to take some work. Let's get some, advice. We're looking for advice now. Advice on what to do next to help you with this. I'm so very proud of you. So very proud of you for choosing to recognize these things within yourself and for the work that you're about to put in. Oop. Safety. The eel and iris with safety. Now I can't remember what iris represents, so I'll have to read it. And let's remember we're looking for advice. Safety. It could be around creating a sense of safety for yourself. No, it's about telling yourself that you are actually indeed safe to be yourself. That you are indeed safe to explore those parts of yourself. The lighthearted person, the optimistic person, the ambitious person, the sensitive person. I'm working on it. Hang on. Okay. Eels. Eels are furtive creatures, often burying themselves in the murky depths. The idiom, slippery as an eel, refers to the eel's ability to escape harm. The iris is the tall, hardy flower from which the fleur-de-lis, a medieval symbol of power and victory, is derived. Together, the stealthy eel and the mighty iris indicate safety in our homes, relationships, and work. Now it's a good time to establish healthy boundaries. Oh yes, we did talk about that when my microphone was not recording. Do not fret over their reaction. Stand firm in your power like the iris. And then we go back to trusting the divine, trusting just the process in general, that, exploring these parts of yourself and going, uncovering more of your authentic self is only going to lead you, well, it's definitely going to present some challenges, but it's, at the end of the day, it's going to lead you toward happiness. Why? Because those persons that don't belong in your life are just going to naturally fall away, especially as soon as you start setting boundaries. You're like, you know what, I appreciate your advice, but I'm on my own journey, and this is how I'm going to go about it. And you know what, I appreciate your advice, but I really do have a good feeling that this is going to come out really well, and I would rather not, be influenced by influenced by your pessimism. You could put it a little bit more nicely. But I think you understand what I'm saying. What do I need in order to feel safe? How can I extend safety to others? What do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel safe to express to yourself? I think you need reassurance. Reassurance that basically coming out of the closet, of whatever closet you're coming out of, is going to be okay. And it's actually going to feel like a weight has been lifted off of you. But it can be very scary to sort of step over that edge or the line. But what waits on the other side is very, very good. How can you feel safer? What would make you feel safe enough to actually start with this process? Okay, let's look for another one. Another piece of advice. More advice. Let's do another one of those. Boundaries could be the thing that helps you feel safer. Because the less input you have from outside, the less confusion there is going to be for you. And the more you can move in your own direction at your own pace. Bashfulness as an advice. One second. There it is. To play possum is to remain quiet and still when faced with danger. The expression comes from the opossum's unique reaction to fear. It keels over and pretends to be dead. This is an instinctual response and an effective one. Spotting what appears to be a dead opossum, predators will often lose interest. Similarly, the beautiful peony flower is associated with bashfulness. According to Greek mythology, nymphs who wished to hide from mortal eyes would disguise themselves as peonies. You may wish to hide away from the world. While periods of solitude are necessary and helpful, be sure your retreat isn't driven by fear. How do I respond to fear? Instinctually or otherwise? Okay, so that makes sense because a lot of times, no, probably all of the time, the reason we don't want to dig deep, and acknowledge and much less integrate our shadow is because we are afraid about how it's going to impact ourselves and those around us. Because, like I was saying earlier, sometimes people just start to fall away from your life. And sometimes you'll find that maybe even the career you've been doing for the last 10 years just doesn't resonate with you anymore. And so it is natural to have this fear, because from that perspective, it seems like you're losing things. But really, you're making room to gain better things. Things that are probably going to be 10 times better, that are going to bring you so much joy and satisfaction in your life, and just a general feeling of freedom because you're finally being who you are. So, right. Okay, so I think that's it for now. Maybe we'll grab just one more card. And one last piece of advice. Let's take a look here. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, let's just take the one card. Wishing well. We have wishing well. 48. I'm going to read that one. Desire is the sacred impulse for life. Feel it, but let go of all attachment to ownership. Desire is the most important impulse for creating life. Now you're seeing the relationship between desire and inspiration, and sensing that moment of truth when you feel the inception of new life. It's an aha moment when everything makes sense. Perhaps you recognize a soulmate, or are conceiving a baby or an idea. The Wishing Well card awakens you to the presence of unseen forces that enable new beginnings. Divine intelligence activates the field of possibilities where new life is co-created in a magical way. Neither you nor anyone else can know how or why this happens. It just does. To that end, you can't control the process of growth. Rather, you must step aside to be a channel for higher forces and relinquish any attachment to how this new creation should appear, or when. Form your intention and take action by dropping the coin into the wishing well, then trust in spirit and prepare to be amazed. And we were talking about trust here earlier. But you know what? That golden coin, you need to drop it into your own well. And it's going to activate. And then all of the things that need to come out of it to cleanse it out are going to start just shooting right out. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. And then you'll start, fresh water is going to start coming from the bottom. Because now all the gunk that was sitting down there is going to come out. That's like the imagery I had in my head when I was reading that. But also, yes, pour into yourself. This is your time. And if you have to go into a bit of a hermit mode in order to achieve this, and you can establish boundaries with people, it's really going to help. Okay? Alright, so that's it for the reading. Just a few key things is the reversed mask, where you used to be this perhaps happy-go-lucky person and somebody told you you need to take things more seriously. Going back to things that you used to do when you were younger and exploring these sort of softer, more feminine side to you, creativity or whatever that was that I mentioned earlier, and allowing your light to shine. Allowing your light to shine whenever you feel it, when there's a little hint of that light and you want to push it down, because you don't want to get your hopes up. Don't do that. Allow it. to become a powerful fire, okay? Fan it, fan it. And then just, go towards what you want. Don't let this keep you from going towards what you want. Don't let that hold you back from your ambitions, okay? Create safety for yourself, but don't not do things out of fear and call it being safe. Okay? All right, that's all I have for you for today. If you enjoyed the reading, if you enjoyed the way I read, please hit the like button and subscribe, etc. Thank you. Bye.